Muthoni Maina, and I'm presenting on behalf of JPRC. When somebody errors you or they commit a crime against you, what is the obvious thing to do? To rush to the police, report, they are apprehended, and the case starts. Here at JPRC, we are saying there is an alternative to that. Probably that can be projected? Is it? All right. So the alternative is restorative justice. And what is restorative justice? You know, when we come together and talk, restorative justice is an alternative to dispute resolution. It is an evolution or evolvement response to crime that respects dignity, equality to each person. It also builds understandings to promote social harmony through healing of victim, offender, and the community. So everybody takes responsibility of a crime that has been committed. Restorative justice is therefore an approach which responds to crime by organizing a meeting between the victim, the offender, and representative of the wider community. And it has goals, which is to share the experience of what happened from both the victim. And for the first time, the victim hears why the offender committed crime against them, and to discuss who was harmed by the crime and how. To create a census for what the offenders can do to repair the harm from the offense, which may include payment of money given to the victim, apologies, a maid, or other action to compensate the offender. What happens normally is when we take to the police, it's the state that takes over. It's like the offender has offended the state, and therefore they have no responsibility. The victim is never compensated. When we do that, it prevents the offender from causing further harm. And therefore, the aim is to get offender to take responsibility for their action. You have offended against so and so. What are you going to do? How did they fail? To understand the harm they have caused, to give them an opportunity to redeem themselves, and to discourage them from causing further harm. What about the victim? It's for the victim to take a role in the process and to reduce feeling of anxiety and powerlessness. And actually, for the first time, they hear why the offender committed crime against them. I wish I could talk about the language of the other world, because most of the time we walk as victims and we do not know. Anyway, that's a lesson for another day. So what are the core values for restorative justice? Is to bring together those affected by an incident of wrongdoing, to name the wrong that has been done, to describe the need it has created, to identify the obligation that now exists, and to resolve together how best to repair the harm and to prevent the occurrence or recurrence. It is borrowed heavily from our traditional cultures, and it also incorporates the African indigenous wisdom. Where can we employ this? There are so many areas that it can be employed. One, in criminal cases, where victims can testify about the crime, the impact in their life. They also receive answers to questions about the incident and participate in holding the offenders accountable. Then to a wider community where those concerned individuals meet with all parties to assess the experience and the impact of the crime. Offenders listen to victims' experience, preferably until they are made to understand and to empathize how this has affected the victim. Then they speak to their own experience and how they decided to commit the offense. In this way, the community members discuss the nature and the impact of the offense with the offender. And then the discussion continues until full or partial compensation for the loss by criminal to the victim has been ordered as criminal sentence or as condition of probation as agreed. They also see the agreement is fulfilled. The community sees that. In prisons, and that is much of the work I do, is that they assist with the inmates' rehabilitation and eventual reintegration into the community or into the society. We have schools, and this restorative justice is good and can be applied in schools because students, pupils, keep on offending each other, they bully, they call each other names. So this can be used to prevent, as a preventive measures, and it's very useful in discipline, to take disciplinary action instead of suspending students, expelling them. Sit them down and, they can even write apology letters. And how effective is it? It's very effective. It has been used elsewhere. In South Africa, it's working. In USA, it's working. In Kenya, we are trying. It's actually working. In fact, in Turkana County, there are very few people. We are almost closing prisons in Turkana County. So here, the offender learn about the harm they have caused to their victims, making it hard for them to justify their behavior. It offers a chance to discuss moral development to offenders who may have had little of it in their life. They have never been taught by parents. They don't know what they are doing is wrong. So offenders are more likely to view their punishment as legitimate. And the program tried to avoid shaming, stigmatizing the offender. And thank you so much for listening to me. I hope you're going to apply restorative justice in our homes, in our community, and to even reduce the amount of criminality in our societies, because everybody will take charge and control, and that we are going to even close prisons. They are only taking our taxes. Thank you so much. Kwaherini.